What's up everyone, it's Kelly and today I've got another swatch review for you. So today I'm partnering up with Starrily to show you their new Heartbreak Hues collection. Now, if you haven't heard of Starrily before, they are an independent nail polish brand that is based in the US, and all of their polishes are 10 free, meaning they are free of 10 of the potentially harmful ingredients that can be found in nail polish. They are vegan, meaning they do not use any animal derived ingredients, and they're also cruelty free, meaning they do not test their products on animals. And like I said, they just came out with their new Heartbreak Hues collection. We've got 9 brand new nail polishes, 4 of which are a cream finish and then 5 are a specialty finish. And we've got some really interesting colors here. There's a little bit of like an anti-Valentine's Day vibe, but we also have some really great general springy kind of colors. So let me show you the swatches first, then we can get into my thoughts on it, and then we'll talk about pricing, availability, all that good stuff. So roll the swatch footage. So as with all of my swatch review videos, I am using base coat underneath all of my swatches just to protect my natural nail and prevent any stains. Today I'm using the Starrily Guardian base coat. Starting off with these specialty polishes, this first one is called Puppy Love, and this one is a really soft pastel pink base. And then within that base we have an iridescent blue shimmer as well as an iridescent blue flaky running throughout. So it's really subtle, but I feel like you can tell that the larger flakies are in there because of the way that they hit the light a little bit differently, which I think is so stunning. I love this combination of a really soft base color with a really intense shimmer. I feel like it's hard to see that bluish color on camera, but it really is intense and super gorgeous. This definitely feels like a classic springy color, but I feel like having that blue shimmer in there really elevates it and makes it look stunning. So I started off with 2 coats and I love the way that that looked. It did cover up my visible nail line, but I felt like I could make the pink color just a little bit more intense in a 3rd coat, which I think it did. Honestly, I feel like if I want something a little bit more soft and delicate, I would probably do 2 coats, but if I want to have a real nice punch of that pink color with that blue shimmer, I'd probably do 3. Next up we have the shade Never After. This is another shimmer, but it's a little bit different. We actually have this periwinkle blue leaning jelly base, and then within that it is absolutely packed with this gorgeous iridescent shimmer that mostly looks like a light gold kind of color, and at some angles you can definitely see it be a little bit more greenish, but mostly it's just this kind of soft yellowy gold into green. And this one I did end up using 3 coats for, just to get that full coverage and to really get that periwinkle color looking gorgeous and bluey on my nails. And I thought this was such a stunning shade. Again, it does feel like a classic springy color, but it's so vibrant and that shimmer is just really eye-catching, so I like it a lot better than the dusty kind of spring colors we usually see. Moving on, we have the shade Shattered Mirage, and this is the color I was the most excited about when I saw the promo photos, and honestly this one did not let me down. This is definitely my favorite of the collection. It's this stunning purple shimmer, so we have a sort of cool toned purple base, and then we have a more vibrant pinky coppery kind of shimmer running throughout, and then we have these gorgeous gold holographic glitters. So it's honestly a finish that I really haven't seen before, and I just love this color combination. That gorgeous purpley color with the gold hollow glitters is so stunning. It really just felt like a beautiful fairy tale Twilight kind of color to me, and it gave me perfect coverage in 2 coats. It was a little bit sheer in the first, so if you have longer nails you might need a 3rd coat, but I was really impressed with the opacity on this one, and 2 for me. Next up we have the shade Star-Crossed, which is a very appropriate name for this polish because this is basically just a galaxy in a bottle. It's this stunning, super deep purple base, and it is absolutely packed with hollow glitters that are super teeny tiny, and they honestly just look like stars on the nail. And in 2 coats it just looked so beautiful and cosmic, and even though we had that purple base color, I feel like the glitters in here had an emphasis on the blue, so I think there actually might also be blue hollow glitters in here, which really just deepen it up a little bit more and make it look a little bit more cool toned. And seriously, if you want a galaxy manicure and you don't want to go through the effort of doing galaxy nail art, this is the polish because it just looks so perfect on its own. Next we have the shade Crimson Twilight. This is actually what I'm wearing on my nails in the intro and outro of this video, and I'm still wearing it right now because this is a stunning shade. It's just this gorgeous red shimmer that when the light hits it you can see this beautiful golden coppery kind of color, and it is just so stunning. I love how smooth it looks. It feels like a perfect classic red, and having that shimmer in there just elevates it a little bit more. So it does feel like a perfect Valentine's Day color, but this is really a perfect any time of year red. And I feel like having that golden undertone to it also makes it a perfect Lunar New Year red. So really impressed with this one. It was definitely a surprise favorite, which is crazy to say because there were so many gorgeous purples, but this one really just captured my heart. So now let's move on to the cream finishes. This first one is called Heartbreaker, and it is a classic cherry red cream. And you can see just in that first swipe on the nails, this was so opaque. It actually gave me fully one coat coverage, and I was so impressed. I feel like a lot of times red cream polishes like this are actually more of a jelly-like formula. So even though they do hit full opacity, the first coat never feels as opaque. So I was so impressed with this one. I ended up popping on a second coat just to show you, but I would totally wear this as a one coater, and the formula was just so smooth and easy. I feel like Starrily's cream formula is so underrated, but it's truly incredible. Next up, we have this shade Unwritten, and this one is a really gorgeous, super light peachy cream. Definitely fits in with the classic pastel kind of theme, but I do think that this one is a little bit more saturated than we usually see, which makes me really like it. And I also think it's a really gorgeous neutral kind of color. It definitely suits my undertone being pretty warm, and I thought it just looked gorgeous, but I feel like this is going to be flattering on a lot of different skin tones. But one thing I noticed about this one that I was so impressed with is when I first applied it, I wasn't as smooth as I wanted to be, but I noticed as it dried down, it was so self-leveling that even areas where I kind of had built up a little bit too much product, it smoothed out on its own, which I thought was so impressive. It's honestly kind of hard to show it on camera just because you're only seeing this one angle, but it was just really cool to see how it smooths out. So definitely a very good beginner-friendly formula if you're not totally perfect with your brush strokes, especially for a pastel kind of color like this. It's just so impressive to see it level out on its own. So I ended up getting full coverage in 3 coats. Next, we have the shade Lone Wolf, and this is what I'd like to call a grayish. It feels like a really beautiful neutral, and it's kind of somewhere between being a gray and being a beige, almost like a taupey kind of color. And again, the formula on this was just incredible and so opaque. You can see this was another one that was a total one coater on me, and I would definitely wear this one in one coat. Sometimes I feel like polishes that are one coaters are still a little bit too thin where it doesn't feel like I have a full manicure on my nails, but Starrily just has this kind of perfect mix of being thicker so it feels like a complete manicure, but not being so thick that it's difficult to work with. So I was just really impressed, but here's what it looks like in 2 coats. And last but not least, we have this shade Tempest, and this one is a really beautiful blue leaning teal cream. And again, this one was a one coater, super smooth, super self-leveling. You can see I was a little sloppy on application, but it still managed to smooth itself out even in that first coat, and it was just so creamy and easy to work with. So I was really impressed, but of course I ended up doing a second coat just to show you. It's just really nice to see them fleshing out their cream finishes. I would love to see more of them. And here are all of the polishes together. It's really interesting to see it laid out because I felt like when I saw the polishes individually, I didn't know that they necessarily made sense together, but looking at this, it does feel like a pretty cohesive color story. You know, we have all of those purples on the top, and I think the pink kind of fits in with those as well. Then we have those gorgeous reds that just feel so perfect for February. And then having those bottom row of creams, they're just really good staple colors, but they're also really classic spring kind of shades. So I think it actually ends up working pretty nicely, and I can see myself doing a skittle of a combination of these colors and it working out pretty well. So I'm actually very impressed with that. I think they managed to do a good job giving us shades that would work for multiple seasons, but also ended up working really well for this time of year. So yeah, those are the polishes. Honestly, I love the Starrily cream formula. I think it is so incredibly impressive. A lot of times these polishes are just one coat opacity on me, and they're so easy to use. They don't feel super thick even though they are really opaque. It's just a very smooth, beginner friendly formula. And of course, I also really enjoyed the specialty finishes here. We had a lot of purples, which is my favorite color to wear on my nails, so I was definitely very excited about those. I think they just created some really beautiful, unique colors here, and then also gave us some really nice staples to have in our collection. But yeah, honestly, I just love their formula in general. general. I think it's just so smooth and easy to work with. And I am so excited to see that they are coming out with more regular collections because I always want more Starrylys. So yeah, now let's get into pricing and availability. All of the polishes come in 15 milliliter bottles, which is honestly pretty big for an indie brand. And they do have a wide flat brush that has a straight tip, but application is really easy. Like I said, it's a very beginner friendly formula. Now, as far as pricing, it does vary depending on the formula. So all of the cream finishes and the pink polish Puppy Love retail for $13.50 USD each. And then all of the other specialty finishes retail for $16 USD. But I do have a discount code. You can use the code KELLI to get 10% off the Starrily website. And they also do have a discounted rate if you get the bundle of all the polishes, and that retails for $115 USD. So yeah, I'm gonna link them down in the description. They're also available from a bunch of international retailers, so I'll put some info about that in the description as well. But yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these polishes. What do you think of the colors? What do you think of the cream finishes and the specialty finishes? Which color is your favorite? Are you planning on picking any of them up, or have you already? Leave it in the comments. We can chat about it. And if you enjoy my swatch and review videos, please hit that like button. It really helps me out. It lets me know I'm doing a good job. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, I would really love for you to subscribe. I put out new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And of course, a huge shout out to my supporters on Patreon, my Royal Astronomer Amanda M, as well as my Cosmic Admirals Paula, Ken, Rosie, and Angel. I really appreciate your support, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye. This is a good question, considering that this collection was called Heartbreak Hues. Today's fun fact question comes from Patreon supporter Juliet, and Juliet wants to know, do you do anything that Ryan would call an annoying habit? He hasn't said this specifically, but I do think that one thing that I do that probably annoys him a lot is that I won't eat a dessert food unless he also eats it. I don't know why this is. I feel like a lot of people are this way, but like I love dessert. I love eating little desserts. I love going out for dessert. And Ryan never has a problem taking me out to dessert or ordering dessert when we're at a restaurant, but he is not a big dessert guy. So he doesn't really love to eat it. So he'll be like, oh, you can order it. But then in my mind, I'm like, no, I don't want it unless you also want it. Or I don't even want to drive to a place unless you are also willing to drive there and eat it with me. And then if we don't end up getting dessert, then I get annoyed, even though I could have just had the dessert for myself. So I feel like that's probably something super annoying that I do, but I can't help myself. Does anybody else get this way where you're just like, I want dessert, but I don't want to be the only one eating the dessert? Like I want to share it. I don't know why I do that. If you also want to share your annoying habits that your partner probably hates, you can also leave that in the comments. But I really am curious to hear if anybody else is this way, where you like don't want to order something unless somebody else or your partner is going to eat it with you. But yeah, that's it. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.